Hey everyone, welcome back to the shed where today we have another new tool day. This is starting to become a bit of a habit, isn't it? Picking up from last episode, I'm still researching options on what I can do about the brakes and the suspension on the Brumby. So while I'm waiting for some solutions on that, as you know, I like to keep the project progressing. So I'm going to loop back around to the transmission. You'll recall I gave that an attempted clean a little while ago and it didn't really come up that well. So I'm stepping things up a notch this time and I'm going to give it a go with this guy. So this I got from the local Bunnings and it's basically a Ozito portable Sandblaster. It's not expensive, under $100, so hence why I'm willing to give it a go. Reviews are a little bit mixed online, but a lot of that can be down to the compressor that people are using it with. So I'm willing to give this a try on my compressor. It says you need up to 70 to 100 litres a minute of free air delivery. Mine will do 200, and I think it's rated for up to 120 psi, and mine kicks in at 115 and runs up to 145 psi. So I'm pretty sure I should have enough air to drive this thing, which is the first hurdle overcome. I've never done any sandblasting or media blasting of any type. So I've got some baking soda there. I'll give it a try with that, see how I get on with that. And if that doesn't work out, I'll step things up a notch again and try it with some Garnet. I've got some fine blasting Garnet in there that I'll give that a try with as well. And the unit itself, when you get it out of the box, looks like that. So it comes with a 4mm nozzle installed on it standard, but you get a little pack with 5, 6 and 7mm nozzles as well, so 4 different size nozzles in total. The concept I think is pretty straightforward. Basically you have this hopper and that's where you put your media and it pulls it out through siphon on this hose through to your handpiece. So basically your air hose goes in here. This is not pressurized. I presume there's a venturi in there that's just drawing through the media based on your air pressure going through it. So I think the way they've designed this, you can actually put your parts inside the hopper here and blast them in there, and they do say that you can reuse the media 2 to 3 times. I don't know if I'm going to give that a try because I feel like that's just a recipe to blow the media back into your face. So yeah, I might skip on that bit. But anyway, I'm going to try it on the transmission, which obviously won't fit in there. So I have to try it outside in the free air, basically. So the Bi-carb is actually pretty fine. So I think I'm just going to stick with the original 4mm nozzle for now. And I'll only step that up if I think it's either not getting enough material through, or if I switch out to the blasting Garnet. Okay, so I think I've got everything rigged up and ready to go. I'm just going to wear some coveralls, pair of gloves, and a full face mask with respirator. I'm a bit nervous about all the stuff flying around in the air, so I might just close up the garage just to keep that from getting covered in dust and other debris.
Oh yeah, that's working.
Okay, so that footage that you've just seen was in real time, so you can see it is actually doing it quite quickly, and that is doing a way better job than what I got here, which was with steam cleaner and degreaser and brake clean and just scrubbing. So you could do a wire wheel on this. I did try that up here for those of you that didn't see my previous episode, but that actually scores the aluminium casings. So this doesn't seem to be leaving a mark on it, but it's getting rid of nearly all the crud that's on there. But it didn't take long for the gun to suck up all the material or the media that was around the outlet of the hopper. So I'm going to chuck some more material in there and let's give this another go. Okay, I have refilled the hopper, so we are ready for round 2. That's coating the lens in a fair bit of dust, so I'd better move you guys back a little bit. But before I do, I mean, you can see all the dust gathering on it. It's just baking soda, so it's hardly caustic or toxic or anything like that. But you can see the difference where this hasn't been done and where that has been done. It's definitely a massive improvement. Not touching the surface at all. Like the surface is not pitted or anything. It's really, really good from that perspective. And it's not taking a long time either. And it's pretty low effort compared to all the scrubbing and stuff I was doing with this the other day. This is very low effort. All you've got to do is give the hopper a shake every now and again. could be a lot worse. Okay, so I've had to stop there because I've run out of the soda, but I think that's actually not too bad, especially when you compare it to this side, which is still covered in dust, but you can see that's quite brown. There's a lot of baked in dirt there, and as I mentioned, degreaser etc. wouldn't touch that, but this has got it off with very little effort. The hardest or the most amount of effort that you have to put in is shaking that hopper to make sure it doesn't just suction itself a hole in the media. But you can tell when that happens because you start blowing just air. Give the hopper a shake and it starts working again. Alright, so I actually had to take a break from it yesterday and go do another small job, and by the time I got back and by the time I finished, it had actually gone dark. Not that it was a long process, but just by the time I got back to doing the rest of the gearbox, I'd lost the light, and so I was doing it in the dark. Now I have missed a couple of spots, and I can see that on here where ideally I would go and hit it again, but I'm actually really happy with the way that this came up. So in terms of the media that I used, I think that the soda was actually the winner. I prefer the soda to the Garnet. The Garnet was more aggressive, and I think it actually leaves the surface a little bit rougher. Not necessarily a bad thing. Like, this would be perfect if you're going to hit this with a coat of paint. I'm not going to because, you know, off-road Brumby, it's going to get caked in mud again before too long, so I'm not going to worry about that. Alternatively, you could always hit it with some alley bright and just bring these casings up to make them look like new again, but I don't think I need to go that far with this particular build. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. The soda I'll definitely be buying again. The Garnet I found better with the 6mm nozzle rather than the 4, and potentially going up a size on the soda would help as well. You go through the material faster, but that's okay. And yeah, the soda's cheaper. It's probably a little bit better for your health and all that sort of stuff. What I would seriously recommend is just keep yourself completely covered, because the dust, well, actually it's more the grit. Once I switched to the Garnet, that was a huge issue. But even then, you shouldn't be getting oodles of baking soda powder on you and leaving it there. It could cause you irritation, etc. So doing it again, I'd get one of the full suits, the little onesies, and probably use some gloves that, I mean, my gloves were fine, but if you're doing a serious amount of it, you'd want to get some rubber gloves, I reckon. But way easier than scrubbing the damn thing, and a lot faster too. And now that I've brought the tool, I've just got to buy the media, and yeah, I think overall it was a good investment, so I will definitely be using that again. But that's not all the work we've got to do on the gearbox. You'll note that I didn't do the tail housing, because if you've been watching for a while, you'll remember that I had a little whoopsie there. And I've also got the new bearings, not bearings, sorry, the new oil seals to go in here. So I think that's my next job, and then this guy will be just about ready to go in the car. Okay, so I think I've got everything I need here. As I understand it, the process to this is pretty simple. There's just a locking bolt here that I have to remove, and that allows this whole thing to rotate and unscrew out. So because I don't know if there's a specific torque setting that those need to be done up to, what I'm going to do is just with a marker pen just indicate which one was up at the top and where that lined up with, and then I'll be able to tighten it up to the same amount again. Then once I've got that out, the seal should come out with it, and I can pop the seal out and put in the new one. So yeah, I've got the new seals here. To get this out, you could just hit it with a hammer and a little drift, a little punch, but I'm going to use these, which are actually a pair of tools, or a set of tools that I use for doing clutches on motorbikes. They hold the clutch when you're undoing the gearbox nuts and stuff. So yeah, the back side of that actually fits in quite nicely, so perfect. 3, 4, 5, and then it starts to come out. Okay, so I've just marked where it actually pops out, so I put that in there, and then from that point where it's actually on the threads, it's 5 complete turns, so that's good. I know how far to put it back in again. Now this does actually have little O-ring on there. I probably should have been replacing that as well, but I don't have those. All right, now he must punch out to the inside. Or does he punch out towards the outside? Looks like it'll come out either way. Okay, I've just got him in the vise. I've only used the soft jaw on the back just to protect that surface, and I've just got some old spaces in there to try and push it out. And that looks like it's working. Yep, that's pushing through. So there's our old damaged seal, and now we're ready to press the new one. And strangely enough, it looks like you can actually press it in from either side. There's no lip on this. So arguably, you probably could have just pried this out and then pressed the new one in with the carrier still in the car. Okay, so these are the oil seals that I'm going to be fitting. You notice there is actually a different part number left to right, but you can tell which side you're going to be putting it in, because on here there should be a little arrow. Very much doubt you're going to see this because I'm struggling to see it and I've got it in my hand. There is a little arrow in there, and that tells you the direction of the axle rotation, because if you can see, there's actually little like rifling marks in there, and those, as the axles spin, help push the oil back into the gearbox, so it draws oil away from the seal. Might give them a little bit of grease to help smooth the process, and then I'll find a packer to help me press that in. Yeah, I'm just going to use the vise again. I mean, you can just hammer it in, that's the typical way, but I kind of like the control the vise gives you, and I also like the fact that you just go gently and it's very, very easy. Quick clean up here to make sure everything's good. Got a little smear of grease on that O-ring. In fact, I'll just give them a little bit more. That bit there. And we are basically ready to go. So if I just line up my marks around about there, make sure he's engaged, he has, so there's 1, 2, 3, that's 4, yep, then he's gone snug. So by the time we get to 5, he should be mint. Boom, there he is. Sealing. There was no thread lock on there, so I'll just chuck him straight back in. Now we get to fit this bad boy. Okay, so this guy just got to tap the pin out of him. So for once, I kind of wish I had a lower workbench. Anybody got any tips for getting that off? Because he's on there pretty good. There's a little lip there, but I'm a little loath to use them because I don't want to damage the mating surface. But I don't think I've got a choice. Okay, let's give it a try with this guy. Oh yeah, looks like something's happened. Benefits of not keeping this tail piece, or the fact that I'm replacing this, means I can be a little bit brutal on this and hopefully save this. Just going to try a slightly different tack here. Just bolting this bracket on. So this holds the stabilizer, I presume you'd call it, that runs from the back of the gearbox into the drive tunnel. I'm wondering if that'll give me a little bit of leverage. Doesn't matter too much if I damage that because I do have 2 of them. Still doesn't want to come off. It's a very good thing I don't need to keep this, isn't it? Starting to get somewhere now. Got these packers. Might just see if I can stop this guy from seesawing backwards and forwards. Okay. Okay, well that did the trick. We don't want to drop him. wonder if I should have been replacing that seal as well. I should have been really, shouldn't I? Oh well. Okay, so I think I'm basically ready to assemble now. I have cleaned up both the mating surfaces. First of all with just a straight razor blade, brand new one, then went with a bit of emery paper on a flat block just to get it all nice and smooth, and then a little bit of brake clean or parts cleaner to go around that. I've put, because it's sat dry for a little bit, I've put a bit of assembly lube on the bearings that I can get to, probably not required but won't hurt, and I've put a little bit of copper anti-sleeve, molly slip, copper slip, whatever you want to call it, on the dowels, because I think that was part of the problem why I had so much trouble getting the case apart. Basically, steel dowels in a aluminium casing, the dissimilar metals can cause corrosion, so the copper slip should help prevent that again. I gave them a little bit of a clean up with some emery paper as well before I put that on, and yeah, other than that I've got some black RTV. That was one of what was on it before, hence why I'm using it, but that's possibly also part of the reason why initially I had trouble getting the two casings separated, because this stuff does stick quite well. It looks like they've used grey down here, which possibly might be a better solution, but anyway, they used black up there before, so that's what I'm going to use as well. I'm only going to put a very fine dab on it, just a thin little bead, really not putting much on here at all because I don't think it's going to need it. This is just for any little imperfections in the two surfaces that might be there. Okay, I'm actually cheating a little bit here and using a step ladder because it's a bit of an awkward height. Okay, that spline doesn't look like he's engaging, so I just need a little pokey something. There it goes. Yeah, here's those dowels causing trouble again. Let's get them over these dowels. Okay, now to put these bolts all in the right pattern, but they all appear to be the same. There's no evidence of there being any thread lock on there, so chuck it all together and call the job done. Okay, so they are just lightly snugged down. Everything looks like it's sitting flat and even. I'm pretty happy with all of that. So I just need to give that an hour to start to cure, and then I'll torque them down the rest of the way, and overnight that can cure. While we're here, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera, hopefully you will, but you can actually see the areas that I missed with the sandblasting. They're actually pretty cruddy, and that stuff doesn't come off very easily compared to how clean it is where I did get the sandblaster. So overall I'm pretty happy with the results of that, especially given I finished it in the dark. Like I say, I think I would have preferred to have just done it with soda blasting all the way. It would give you less of this paleness, less of this texture. But I'm not that worried about it. I'm happy with it. It's certainly clean enough to go back in the Brumby now, so that is a win in my book. Oh, before I forget, to answer the earlier question, yes, that guy does fit on there. And I've got to check out the linkages, yes, but basically my thought pattern is the in and out won't have changed. So in terms of the throw of the gear lever, yes, we will still be getting first and second will be in the right position, if you know what I mean. But I think even with the twist to get between first, third and fifth, I think that will be right, because even though the leverage is on the other side, we're still rotating clockwise or counterclockwise. That's my thought pattern, but I will suss that out later on, now that I know this definitely will go on, and it even looks like I can just reuse the same pins that held this fella on. So yeah, that's going to gain me a lot more clearance in the tunnel. I'm pretty happy with this part of it. Remains to be seen about the linkages, but I'm feeling confident. I'll come back, sort out the last couple of bits on this, the new seal and the torquing those down in an hour's time, and then this guy is ready to go back in the car. So yeah, progress. I like progress. It's a good thing. All right guys, as always, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.